Last night's roughly 12 questions about how much taxes upper-income Americans might have to pay on earnings or capital gains. There were numerous follow-ups about specific income levels and corresponding tax rates. In our third story tonight, whatever it says about last night's debate, there was not one single follow-up, no request for clarification, when Senator Clinton said that as president, she wants to promise that if other countries start fighting in the Middle East, the U.S. will get involved.
I think that we should be looking to create an umbrella of deterrence that goes much further than just Israel. Of course, I would make it clear to the Iranians that an attack on Israel would incur massive retaliation from the United States, but I would do the same with other countries in the region. You know, we are at a very dangerous point with Iran. The Bush policy has failed. Iran has not been deterred.
As a NATO member, the U.S. has committed to the defense of its fellow NATO allies. Senator Clinton last night explained that, yes, she is proposing a similar scenario in the far less stable Mideast, saying she would deploy the U.S. military to respond with, quote, massive retaliation to an Iranian attack on any country willing to forswear nuclear ambitions. Senator Clinton parenthetically in conflict with the most recent national intelligence estimate on Iran, which said specifically that Iran's nuclear ambitions have been deterred. Whether planned or impromptu, Senator Clinton in the same answer proposing a massive worldwide alliance as a deterrent, a proposal similar in its broad strokes to Senator McCain's proposed League of Democracies, a group he says would circumvent the UN in order to push Western values around the world. Let's bring in MSNBC political analyst Rachel Maddow, the host of her own program every weeknight on Air America Radio. Hello, Rachel.
Hi, Keith.
After 24 hours of letting this sink in, how in the world is this not the headline out of that debate last night?
This is the greatest burying the lead story we've had yet in the campaign. And, I mean, the question to be asking is twofold. Number one, why would something like this advance American interests? To make our military, our troops, the bomb that any country can throw into the square in the Middle East whenever they want to. As you said, that we will get involved whenever anybody starts fighting each other in the Middle East. It is hard to imagine a conception of American interest broad enough to make this a prudent promise to make to the world, particularly to this volatile part of the world. So you have to ask that. But you also have to ask why this advances Senator Clinton's political interests. Yeah. I mean, this is a huge reorientation of American foreign policy and America's role in the world. Given its enormity, it is surprising to have it kind of dropped sotto voce into debate number 21.
By the way,
no follow-up questions asked last night, no follow-up details today. This is an elephant that has now been shoved into the room.
We do have, however, now an explanation for her vote on the Kyle Lieberman amendment. At least we got that out of the way.
Yes.
A year later. But this is far, in this sense, if the heading is Iran/Middle East, this is far further to the right than John McCain. This may be far further to the right than the Bush administration policy about the Middle East, which you didn't think was physically possible. Who on earth, from that political point of view, who could she be appealing to with this? I mean, the superdelegate's going to say, this is how we win. We elect a Republican calling herself a Democrat. That's how to do it.
Well, yes. I mean, there is a school of thought that says in order for a Democrat to win a presidential election, the Democrat has to be even more hawkish than the Republican in the race. That is a school of thought that I don't ascribe to, but it is a Democratic school of thought. But, you know, even if you once believed that, even if you looked at maybe at the legacy of JFK in order to come to that conclusion, now, in the era of the long war, the global war on terror, there's going to be more wars, my friends, and the 100,000, 10,000-year Iraq deployment. I think that this hawkishness, common wisdom, is drying up, and a Democrat might make some more headway this year by describing American strength and security and leadership that is smarter and less apocalyptic than the constant war model.
Or you have to promise to stay longer, like for a Google number of years.
Yes.
Right? You have to go a gazillion. We will be in Iraq for a gazillion years, and everybody who is not in Iraq will be in Iran.
I want to surge exponentially rather than arithmetically.
Exactly.
Maybe.
We're going to send 73 million of us over there.
Yeah. Now,
she ignored the Iraq NIE before the vote.
Yeah.
She's now contradicting the Iran NIE. So again, politically, how does this help her? Because it seems like she's reviving the concerns that she doesn't stay in touch with the intel or doesn't believe it in the same way, say, the current president doesn't bother to stay in touch or believe it.
That's right. And one of the other buried parts of this buried story is that George Stephanopoulos contradicted the NIE on Iran in the very phrasing of the question. George Stephanopoulos said Iran is pursuing a nuclear option, and then his next sentence made clear that by option he meant weapons. neither candidate at that point said, wait a minute, that's not what our national intelligence consensus statement says on this. They both ran with it. Hillary Clinton, of course, put an exclamation point on it by talking about poleaxing our entire approach to foreign policy in order to counteract this immediate threat from Iran, which has been invented by the neocons.
Yeah, there was a very bizarre quality to Mr. Stephanopoulos' work last night, and this again getting perhaps not the attention it deserved because of this obvious kind of plant thing from Sean Hannity. But
well, yeah, this was an obvious plant from Charles Krauthammer, it seems to me. He's the one who's put forward this scenario and this proposal.
And we have to give, both of us, we have to give props to our friend Pat Buchanan,
yes,
who came right out of the gate last night saying, what is this? She's declared, this is an imperial presidency being proposed.
This
correct?
is one of those moments when Pat takes a right turn that takes him so far right, it ends up hitting me as I take my left turn. We end up smacking into each other in terms of being afraid of a presidential proposal like this.
And then we all go out and have a shot and a beer.
Yeah.
Rachel Maddow of MSNBC and Air America, as always, great thanks.
Thank you, Keith.